What's the most blatant case of favoritism you've ever witnessed? Story 1. So for a while, my dad decided that he could get more work out of us if he got us to compete to be named his favorite. Basically, the rules he laid out were that if you did something good enough, you were their favorite until someone else did something. And there was some kind of ill-defined benefit to being the favorite that he hadn't decided on yet. Fast forward a bit, and he had screwed up his company website because he was experimenting in the production environment like an idiot. He asked me for help, so I did. He didn't let me touch anything, and insisted I stand there while he fiddled with random controls in Drupal, hoping to stumble across the right one because he's afraid of reading logs. That took a few hours. Then he went to the bathroom and I checked the logs, which led me right to the problem, so I fixed it. It definitely saved him time, probably saved him money, and possibly saved his job. I was named his favorite. 10 minutes later, my sister comes in from mowing the lawn, and now she's the favorite. It wasn't really a big deal. The only benefit of being the favorite for my brother and I was that he wouldn't insult you for not being the favorite. When I was his favorite, though, he still made fun of me for being at his beck and call. My sister got things like hugs and pats on the back when she was the favorite, but fewer when she wasn't. Shortly after the website incident, we all decided that the whole thing was stupid and agreed not to do anything special for him in the hopes that he'd forget about the whole thing. Instead, he got angry that we weren't climbing over each other to do him favors. At first, he just lowered the bar for good deeds, so we just stopped doing anything for him at all. He got ticked off that we weren't competing, so he announced that my sister was favorite again because I didn't buy him a soda and he wanted me to defend my title. Then he got angry that nobody cared. Then he sat in his chair and grumbled about that for a while, and he's mostly dropped it. Sometimes he tries to bring it back, but it hasn't worked. So, lessons learned. My sister is, and always has been, the real favorite. If you want people to compete, there needs to be something they all want to compete for. Something about either collusion or collective bargaining, depending on how you want to spin it. In any case, apes are strong together. Also, apes add apples and bears blow bubbles. Clowns cook carrots, and there's more to come. Story 2. Way back in elementary school, I had 3 classmates, Kim, Kelly, and Christy, whose mothers handled all of our classroom parties. We also had an egg hunt around Easter. The 3 students who found the most eggs won chocolate bunnies. We had about 30 kids in our class, and all of us were to bring in 3 eggs to be hidden. The teacher would pull down the window shades so we couldn't look outside to see where the moms hid the eggs on the playground. Every year, from kindergarten through 6th grade, those 3 classmates always found the most eggs, up to a dozen each usually, while the rest of us rarely found more than 1 or 2. Some never found any. The girls eventually confessed that their moms told them they would hide piles of eggs behind specific trees near the doors, while telling the whole class the eggs can be anywhere on the playground. One year, a boy found an egg that would have put his total in the running to get a chocolate bunny. He was told it didn't count because the moms didn't remember hiding that one. So the bunny went to Christy. Oh man, goats gobble garbage, horses hiccup, and iguanas ice skate. Story 3. In the 1st grade, I had a problem with a certain kid and his friends constantly trying to bully me. One day, he, Kyle, and his 2 best friends surrounded me, pinned me by the arms, and drew their fists back to punch me when suddenly the teacher on duty blew her whistle. She then proceeded to scold 3 boys for causing a scene with their violent behavior. And by 3 boys, she meant the 2 friends of the boy and me, who was on the ground by the other 2. She sent us to the office. We all 3 were forced to sit every break without being able to play for 3 weeks. Even in the office, the other 2 boys were saying I was innocent and that Kyle was guilty, that they all 3 were attacking me. The boys even told the teacher that it was the 3 of them that were about to attack me. Her response was, "No, he was the only one not doing anything. I heard you/my Jello jigglers yelling, egging y'all on." Even the boys admitted the only thing I was yelling was, "Please, no." I was totally innocent. Even the principal wasn't hearing it. She actually made me feel worse about it because, in her words, "You are the first problem students this school has had since we started that Student of the Month program." First day sitting out from recess, I stared at the ground on the verge of tears, and the teacher forced me to watch the other kids play as a punishment. I deserved to watch other kids have fun. Every day, Kyle would run by and throw sand in my face with the teacher less than 5 feet from me, who literally turned her face away as she smirked. Kyle, the boy who never got in trouble, was the son of that teacher's best friend, who, by the way, was the local school bus driver who backed into our horse trailer earlier that year and tore it all to heck and tried to take no responsibility for it. She blamed us for hitting the horse trailer because we put it in her way. Truth of the matter was that she was being lazy. The bus driver before her just went up the road, maybe 400 feet ahead, and circled back around. She would pick me and my sister up and then put the bus in reverse, backing into a small ditch into our front yard where we parked all the cars and trailer. To make things worse, she never actually looked all that much when she was backing up. She designated a couple kids to be her watcher. I guess they thought it would be funny and not let her know she was about to majorly screw up. Carrying on, we've got dinosaurs drum, elephants exercise, and frogs fly flags. Story 4. There was a woman at my old job. She was an absolute talentless witch with no social skills. She would constantly have a falling out with her coworkers because she was an annoying, nosy idiot who couldn't keep her mouth shut. However, her husband was really high up. He was a senior manager and extremely good at his job too. So whenever his wife screwed the pooch and people started complaining to their union representatives, she hopped from her made-up position to a brand new made-up position. BS job posts like head quality assurer, spend all day sorting QA documents into folders, head delivery expediter, spend all day sorting invoices into folders, head of product definition, spend all day sorting project briefs into folders, and the like. All jobs which pay management rates, but which also could be done by a fresh business administration graduate for $10 an hour. The only saving grace was that her husband knew his wife was useless, so he never leveraged his position to punish the people who complained. I don't know if he ever ran out of departments to put her in. Pretty much everyone hates her guts. Jaguars juggle junk. Kings kiss kittens. Mice make muffins. Story 5. When I was 16, my 13-year-old sister got a brand new cell phone. I never had a phone, and I still didn't at the time. I worked 3 jobs in college just to survive. My parents paid my sister's tuition, rent, and bills. They also got her a brand new car. I spent my college years working and using public transportation. My sister spent hers partying and going on road trips with her brand new car. When I graduated college, I got nothing. My sister got a brand new MacBook, which was stolen a few months later because she left it in her unlocked car. My mother constantly told my sister that she loved her growing up. My mother only said it to me once, in the context of, I love you, but I don't like you. I have plenty more of these stories, and no, I don't speak with my parents or sister anymore. Ugh, that one's kind of sad, but this should cheer you up. Newts nap nightly, otters open oysters, pigs paint pictures. Story 6. One of my classmates always got better scores on comparable essays in a high school literature class. I suggested it was favoritism, so we decided to write each other's papers to see what happened. Our study found that no matter who wrote the paper, if I turned it in, I got a worse grade than if she turned it in. Well, my, that's not fair. Anyway, robots roller skate, turtles tiptoe, umbrellas unfold. Story 7. Growing up, my stepbrother was obviously my stepmother's favorite child. He could get away with anything. I'm fairly certain she's never actually punished him for anything, and he was well aware of this. The most blatant case of this was when the nanny software on his computer caught him searching for corn, so immediately my stepmother went after me, accusing me of going onto his computer to search for stuff. Whoopsie daisy, looks like I accidentally skipped over L, but this one's one of the best ones because it has to do with baby sheep. Sheep, of course, being the best animal that ever was. Anyway, lambs lick lemons. Story 8. My grandma always yelled to my cousins, but she always pampered me and bragged about me to others. She didn't even try to hide that difference in treatment, and I hate it when that happened. Even the little child me recognized and despised it very much. Obviously, my relationship with my cousins isn't good till now. Aw man, what's wrong with me? I also skipped over the cues. I must be losing my mind. If you guys are paying attention, you gotta call me out on this stuff. This one's kinda lame though. Queens want quiet. Story 9. My mom told my brother a very boring family secret, and he told me. I mentioned it to her, and she got ticked off and said he shouldn't be telling other people about that. It's just for family. I had to remind her that I am also a member of the family. Alright, simple one here. Snakes sing songs. I'm a silly little snake. Story 10. Had a stepbrother who was my same age. He asked my stepmom if he could spend the night at a friend's house, and she said yes. I then asked her the same question, and she said no. I complained that the other kid got to go, and said it was unfair, so she grounded me. That was 23 years ago, and I'm still bitter. Whale's whistle, what you gonna do about it? Story 11. At the end of our senior party that was organized for my school, they had a raffle with a bunch of expensive prizes. Every single parent who helped organize the raffle had a child who won big, and the main organizer had her son win the $2,500 grand prize, with the not suspicious speech of, "And of course, the winner of the grand prize is Charlie." Yeah, screw that stuff. I walked out with a $5 gift card to an ice cream shop that had already gone out of business. This next one must have been the most creative exercise to come up with. X gets an X-ray. Wow. Story 12. My friend is the middle child. He had to find a job when he was 16 to pay for his car by himself, work full-time through college to pay for it by himself, and had to pay for his new house, and his parents didn't help any. In fact, they packed up all his stuff while he was at work and dropped it off in his garage and said good luck. While his siblings did not have to work in high school or college, parents paid for their cars and paid for most of their college. When his older brother got a house, they offered to help pay. All right, savor this next one because you're not going to get another one until the very end of the video. Yak's yawn. Ooh, how impressive. Stay tuned to find out what the very last one will be. Story 13. Parents gave my sister a car and paid for her college, and I received a check for $100. She's a loser, and they wasted so much money on her. She totaled multiple cars and has a master's and bachelor's degree. She works at a gas station. Update and more info, both girls, she's a couple years older. Since her first job, she's never liked being told what to do and had a bad attitude, but a good student. I think the real world scared her, so she stayed in school. She's been at the gas station for a few years. I don't have a degree, but I'm an account manager for a luxury dealership. Story 14. My brother got everything he ever asked for. Brand new PCs or phones, his driver's license, a new car, you name it, and he got it all. Meanwhile, I was wearing hand-me-downs, had an old Nokia 3310, this was about when Apple launched the first iPhone, and I had to work after school to afford getting my license, paying for school trips, and buying a PC for school. She still, to this day, denies favoring him. Story 15. Glory holes are very illegal in my town, but for some reason that law doesn't apply for my local Benihana. I thought it was weird, but then I found out that my local Benihana's manager made a large donation to our police department. Maybe I'm just being cynical, but that doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. I know Benihanas are famed for their dinner and a show type atmospheres, but this is the next level. Story 16. Years ago, my ma and dad redid their will. They called me, said, "I just want you to know that we redid our will and you'll be getting less of our estate." Okay, I didn't need to know that, and I honestly wouldn't have cared. But without even asking why, she continued, "You seem to be doing well, and your brother works so hard. He's going to need it more." I was a stay-at-home mom. My brother was, and continues to be, a top exec in a major corporation in a major city with $2 million homes. I'm now twice divorced, living in an apartment, relocating for a full-time job 3 states away. Funny, she hasn't called me telling me that maybe she redid her will again, and this is why I forget Mother's Day. Story 17. When I was in high school, my dad had a very public affair, and my mom kicked him out of the house. A few days later, he sent an email to the whole family, begging us to let him back in the house. He had a line for each kid in the email. My brother and I got a few sentences, saying that he missed us, etc. However, he wrote an entire paragraph to my sister, starting with, "I have always had the best connection with you out of all my children." I've since cut him off completely, but that still stings a little 7 years later. Story 18. When I was young, me and my sisters had a nanny because my dad worked all the time and didn't trust us alone. But this witch hated me and didn't try to hide it one bit. She would totally ignore me, take my sisters out, and leave me at home. She also more than once said that I wasn't allowed to talk or be around my sisters. And the best part of this is that I just learned she used to take my sister's side and try to make their sisters talk poop about me and how awful I am. The great thing is that my sisters had zero issues with me. It was only her trying to make them hate me. She ended up totally separating me from my family and constantly talking poop to me and getting mad at my sisters if they stood up for me. But, they were loved and taken care of and stuff. I don't like her. Story 19. This one teacher had this one kid, let's call him Henrique. that she started to treat him like he was God, letting him stay after school while they fed him, driving him home, letting him sit beside her every time. This dude barely sat at his desk anymore. Hell, she even visited this dude's house one time. Thankfully, Ulrich wasn't as much of a dong as I thought he was when I went to high school with him, and I calmed down a bit about what happened. 2 years later, this dude reveals that this teacher and his mom are actually friends, and that's when I realize, oh, now it makes sense. Middle school me got screwed over. Story 20. Every promotion at my work goes to the people who join the company and then become outside friends of a key group of the management team. I've seen so many better people passed up. Getting a blonde bob, drinking rose spritz, and complaining about your colleagues on the way to a Shawn Mendes concert should not be a prerequisite for a promotion. Alright, coming up to the end here, any guesses on what it could be? Probably something animal related. Are there any animals that start with the letter Z? Who knows, there's probably a million of them. Story 21. My work bosses at my one job in college basically allowed their favorites to steal my ideas and take credit for it, or often yelled at me for others' actions I tried to fix. When I tried to explain myself, they never listened, kept saying it was an excuse, or just ignored me. Or I'll never forget the time 2 coworkers took all our equipment for the weekend when they were in another state for a convention, leaving me to use the bad camera to film the event I had to work. What did they get? A slap on the wrist. What did I ever get if I screwed up in the tiniest detail? Lots of poop and bias towards and against my ideas, but always using them or making me feel like I never mattered when we worked together. Story 22. In middle school, the teacher's son was in her class and he was relentlessly bullying one of my friends, being in his space all the time, throwing mud and packed ice at him outside. Whenever my friends would try to get him off or yell for him to go away, she would say, "Inside voices, please," and that's just how boys are. Eventually, my friend had enough, picked up the other kid, and gave him a concussion from throwing him on the pavement. He was suspended, and then the teacher brought in a speaker to talk about bullying in schools. So, being the smart aleck that I was, I raised my hand and asked, "What are we supposed to do when the bully is the teacher's kid and she doesn't see the problem?" and looked right back at her. My friend was back in school the next week. Story 23. Came home from a night out while living with my parents when I was younger. Me and my bro, 4 years younger, didn't have a good relationship at that time because of the favoritism. I rarely go out and I was having a beer with some friends. Came home at about 1 a.m. at the same time as my brother, and I got an earful from Dad, why I was home so late, and he turned to my brother with a smile on his face and said, "Hey, you're home early. Didn't have a good time?" And I was like, what the frick? Things improved after I moved out, and now my little brother is nearly my best friend. Zebra zip zippers! As some of you know, I've got a baby on the way, so I guess my mind is just in baby mode, thinking about all those baby stuff, Fisher-Price, blah, blah, blah. And these are some phrases that came to mind from when I was a baby. So there you go. And the last thing I want to say here is that it seems your regularly scheduled programming is beginning to return to normal. The original Mainly Facts voice is starting to ease back into work, and so I just wanted to take this time to thank you all and say how great it's been to sub in for him while he was out. I appreciate everyone's support and patience during this time, and if anyone is inclined to do so, feel free to check out my personal channel, Brother Goose, or any of my other Reddit channels, such as Internet Recap or Internet Realm. Thanks again, and take care, everyone.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.